What is up? Surd 9801. Surd. How's everyone doing? So, how's Dan Ferguson, Art? How you doing? So I'm going to paint this today. We'll see how it goes. This is really nice because it has light coming from both sides, and it kind of meets up in the middle, and it makes this really nice kind of central shadow where those two lights meet. The real reason, cool, Dan, I'm glad you're very good. Hell yes, says the Spencer Simmons. We'll see how it goes today. But the real reason I want to do this is because his glasses sort of distort, his form, and his cheekbone doesn't jut out that much. But I thought it would be really cool if I could just kind of play around with that and see if that distortion sort of works. He's this guy that I saw in the bus the other day. I just took a picture, and we'll see how it goes. He's slightly cross-eyed too, but we'll see. I think that the eyes kind of fall into the mass of the shadow, like right in the socket. And I kind of want to hint at that, but I don't want it to be too distracting. So we'll see how that goes. So, what am I using? I'm using titanium white, yellow ochre. I'm going to use both reds. I'm going to use cad red and alizarin today, raw umber and ultramarine blue. So it's a fairly sort of neutral palette if you think about it. My yellow is the ochre. My blue is ultramarine blue, which is not that saturated. So it's an earth yellow, a blue purple, and I'm using cad red and alizarin. I kind of want that cad red because there's going to be some saturation like in the background. So we'll see how that goes. And again, I'm not going to use medium. So as always, I'm going to start with like my shadow masses. So I'm using like alizarin and burnt umber, just a little bit of burnt umber, and we'll see how that goes. I'm going to try to be somewhat careful with my drawing. I mean, I'm always careful, but I sometimes if I want the painting to go a little bit faster, I try to be a little more careful with the drawing, but we'll see how that goes. So I'm using those Escoda brushes. Again, this one's like mongoose, like natural hair. It's very good, very, very good. So those are, I'm trying to see, I don't have a lot of dark, like super dark darks. No, your life, there goes my productivity. No, you can do stuff. Just do stuff and then kind of look at me while I work, ASGC art. But I don't have, as I was saying, I don't have a ton of like super darks. Let's see. No, now that I come to think about it, yeah, they are. I was referring to in the portrait. There's not a lot of like super darks. So it's going to be really nice to see how much I can push those shadow masses, which are not that dark, and make them behave like shadow masses. I'm going to drag this sort of softly down the socket. Like I want to be careful with the drawing of the eye, but I always want to inscribe the eye into that mass of the socket. So I don't want to be too careful with that drawing. So that's good. And yeah, most of the darks are kind of framing his face. There's a little sort of curve here that I want to push eventually, but that, like his jaw, his cheekbone kind of juts out, and then his jaw kind of, and then it comes in like a curve, and then his jawbone sort of comes out just a little bit. It's just enough to make it really, really cool, like an interesting shape. So we'll see if we can push that. I'm an illustration student. My professor is friends with you back at SVA. You're my inspiration. Oh, who's your professor, Eric? So maybe I remember, your teacher. So his scarf is actually Chow. Is that Lou? 28 Lamo. Is that Lou Talamo? Ciao. Oh, Kenichi. Oh, yeah. I'm great friends with him. Yeah, he's super talented. He's really, really amazing painter. So, is he at SVA? Did you say SVA now, or is he or you're at Pratt? This is going to be good. Oh, don't jinx it. Don't. We have to do at least one where I suck, where I just completely suck, where I'm just like, okay, I'm done. Everybody go home. This is not going to work. I could stay here and paint for hours and it's not coming out. So we should do one of those, because I have plenty of those days. So don't be mistaken. Like I have horrible days where stuff just doesn't come out, and they're very, very frustrating. But being an artist, you have to deal with those. Like, you have to learn how to deal with those. Let's see. I have really kind of abstract-y shapes here in this jacket that are dark. I just want to kind of lay them in. But right now, you are my maestro. I'm learning, looking at you paint. Cool. Yeah, I wish we could all learn like by osmosis, but truth is we can't. I remember when my teacher was painting, when Steve would paint in class, I would stop everything and go watch him paint. And at some point I remember him saying like, well, you guys have to paint, because a lot of us would just come over and just watch him paint. And we would, and the word would be today, we would waste our class just watching him paint. And of course it wasn't a waste, because, it's an amazing experience just watching somebody who's good, who's like really good. And Steve is like just extraordinary when working from life. Watching somebody who's really, really good is, you can learn a lot from that, but eventually you're going to have to do it yourself. So, the way you sort of execute all those things you think you've learned from watching other people paint is by working things out yourself and seeing if things really stuck. And that nobody can do for you. That the only person that can do that for you is yourself. So I guess that's what kind of Steve was saying, like, this is great having an audience and you guys watching me paint, and you can ask questions, and that's awesome. But eventually, nothing is going to happen if you don't try to do it yourself. So and that's how I lost 100 people watching me live right now. So everyone went to paint. Lina Marcela, when you started, did you have any painting or drawing daily habit? Lina, pues no sé si te respondo en inglés o en español, pero me preguntaste en inglés, entonces te respondo en inglés. Y el ratón envió, hola Danielita. Everyone sent like really good energy today, because my girlfriend Danny, she's doing her the first part of her thesis project. It's not, she's not done, but it's the first semester. So everyone think about her today and send her good energy, and I'm sure she's going to do really, really well today, because she's awesome and her project is really super nice. So I am positive she's going to do well. Flores Galeano, buenas Flores Galeano. So if I had a daily habit of drawing, I don't think I had it as a habit. I just have it as I enjoy it. So it's not, I wouldn't call it a habit. You know, like as if you were going to the gym and you'll always have to sort of push yourself to do exercise. You know, and again, there's some people I'm sure that really, really enjoy doing, you know, going to the gym and exercising. But well, in my case, it was just it's enjoyable. There's nothing more to it. It's just I really, really enjoy painting and drawing. So I wouldn't have to push myself to do it. I don't have to make myself do it. I don't have to find time during the day to do it, because even if I wasn't paying attention, let's say, I'd be doing it. You know, I'd be doing it out of just curiosity or joy. So, okay, so there's construction like outside. So, good. That's going to be a good background noise. Let's see. I want to do my background because it's a really nice warm red. And his jacket, there's spots in his jacket that are red too, so I kind of want it. This is going to be like a very sort of punchy, kind of strong rhythms, very geometric shapes here. So they're going to make like a really nice rhythm, like bright red, dark, bright red, dark, bright red, dark, bright red, dark, and then the face. So hopefully we'll get to that. But I do want to get to his shadow mask first, which is a lot more open than these darks that I've been putting down. There's a lot more light coming into them. So let's see if we can do that. ¿Qué paleta hoy? Hola Camila. Hoy blanco de titanio, amarillo ocre, rojo cadmio medio, alizarín, rojo alizarín, tierra sombra natural y azul ultramar. Esa es la paleta de hoy. Can we see the picture that you're drawing? Yeah. Let me paint first, and then I'll show you the picture. I always say that, but if you guys don't remind me, I never remember, because I don't really care about showing you reference. But that I'm totally fine with it. I've done it before here. But if you guys don't remind me, like it's never in my, you know, I never have it in the back of my head, so I'm probably going to forget. So see, there's a change in value, which is very, very subtle there, but I think it's enough so that I can differentiate those my darkest darks from a more sort of open shadow mass. You guys should see how I'm working. I'm like working slanted so that I could put my phone in this angle. I'm going to have like a backache after this. Anyways. Hola, ¿usas un papel especial para pintar al óleo? No es especial. Es simplemente el que viene en la Moleskine, que se llama Moleskine Sketchbook. Es grueso, es suficientemente grueso como para pintar. Pero no quiere decir que sea especial para pintar. No es un papel que diga como, no, papel multimedia para óleo o para óleo. No. Sencillamente es grueso. Y yo lo que hago es echarle un imprimante acrílico transparente encima. ¿Y por qué transparente? Pues para, en los casos en los que quiera dibujar, que no han sido todos, pueda ver el dibujo que hice y después empezar a pintar encima. ¿Qué más, Nicolás? ¿Cómo va lo del libro? ¿Qué hubo, Camilo? Hoy, precisamente, me entregan ya unas cosas en el banco y tengo que ir como a las de 3 de la tarde al banco. Y entonces voy a preguntarle si está bien con que ya pueda poner la información del banco ahí en lo de Indiegogo y pueda comenzar. So, the shadow mask is darker up top, because I guess his cap is actually casting that bit of a shadow. So, it's going to be darker up top, and then it's going to be slightly lighter below. It's like a nice green sort of shift in value there. Greenish. Like I say green, but I mean greener. So I have to sort of keep my value and change my hue. Which I always push that. I'm always telling people how important that is. A lot of people just see changes in hue. They can say, oh, something is warmer, or temperature, let's say. Something is warmer, something is more yellow. But they almost never sort of attach a judgment. They don't reflect upon the value at the same time of the hue. So you can't separate it. Those are always together. So whenever you see a color, don't just go, oh, that's green, because then you're going to mix any green, or oh, that's blue. You don't have any way to relate it to all the other colors that you've been painting. The idea is to start in an area where, like I started with my darkest darks, and those taught me how to do my shadow mask, because my shadow mask was never going to be as dark. And that's the important word that right there. It was never going to be as dark as my darkest darks. So I'm starting off with relationship that's teaching me a ton about my shadows. And after that, you can start thinking about, once you have that set value where you know that this is going to be dark, but it's never going to be as dark as that, then you can start by saying, okay, but now it's warm. And you can establish a warm, and then within that warmness, you can establish small differences. But within that warmness, within that initial warmness. So even if I say, well, that's a little bit cooler, what I'm saying is that's a little bit cooler within that, big sense of warmness. That's sort of enveloping the shadow mass. So always remember that. Don't think of those qualities as separate. They are together. They're always together. Temperature, hue, and value. So never, ever dissect them. I mean, you can if you're doing an exercise in value only, but when you're painting, and if you're painting with your full palette, know that all of them are going to always be related. Those three really important qualities of color. Check YouTube later today. What is that? Oh yes, somebody's been uploading some videos to YouTube, which I'm totally fine by now. So I'm not going to be like, hey, take those down. That's totally cool. That's totally fine. If I'm uploading it here, I'm totally fine with I think it's this one guy, and I'm totally cool with it. So I don't have a problem. I'm always just very aware that what's nice about live sessions is the fact that we can all sort of speak to each other. So it's totally cool. Hi, Nicholas. Did you use any kind of acrylic primer? Yeah. I'm using a transparent acrylic primer. I almost always do. When I don't, if I don't say anything, I'm using it. If I say something, it's probably to the effect of I'm working on raw paper just to see how something kind of goes. But if I don't say anything, you can be sure that I've already primed the surface. So I have the color changes here. It's really nice, and I think that's what attracted me to this lighting condition. The fact that the colors change but this idea of this shadow mask coming, right through the middle of his face is just really, really cool to me. I really, really like that. It's just the way the shadow travels through his face, and that's always going to be effective if we can keep that unity of light traveling through form, or shadow traveling through form. Greetings from Seattle. I guess it's Seattle, right? Or St. Louis, maybe? St. Louis or Seattle, I'm not sure. Maybe St. Louis. Cool, either or, that's awesome. I went to Fontbonne University in St. Louis. Was it St. Louis? Maybe? They invited me to do something for their masters, for the MFA. Like to see their like a portfolio review, and I did a talk. It was really cool. And I did a demo, and I sucked. I really sucked. La transición de una sombra cálida a una luz fría en el maravilloso... Vamos a ver cómo nos va. So I want to keep that direction of that light. That the direction of the light it's coming from both sides. So it's almost clashing like in the middle. It's really, really cool. That lighting condition is super, super nice. But I want to be careful that I have that it's almost like a frontier where it's a very clear and set space where they both crash into each other. That has a very specific drawing. And the only way those two lights are going to work is if I'm faithful to those shapes right in the middle. So this cheekbone it turns over here. It's so beautiful. It's so subtle, but it's so beautiful. It turns over. It's even lighter than that. But I know I'm probably going to judge that a little bit better once I start developing the lights. I'm just using this one brush. I think I've wiped it clean a couple of times already, maybe once or twice. And this is where I'm going to have a little bit of fun, and I always try to have at least an area of the painting that I really enjoy and I could push something, even if it's totally off, but I don't mind. Like it has to be sort of enjoyable for me, so it's going to be this area in the cheekbone. The way that shifts over there, it's just so nice. It's playful, but I'm obviously pushing it quite a bit. But for a small painting, it just feels really wonderful to have kind of those moments right there where we can just have a little bit of fun, and if you see something that attracts you, push it, because that's the only way people are going to know what your interest is within the painting. That's what differentiates us. I always speak about this, but the real difference between you and every other painter out there is not a style. Styles are always imitable. You can always emulate, anything that anyone does. I mean, you can do it. I don't know if you could do it at the degree of that person who is originally doing, whatever they're doing, but you can sort of dissect that style, and you can start working within the sort of the set of rules that style has established for itself. You can learn that, and that's super easy because those are very superficial qualities in image making. Those are not the tough ones. The harder ones to understand are the reflections, the decisions that actually give they give shape to style. Style doesn't, like a nice style, or whatever that means, it doesn't come from a void. it's actually a reflection on something, and what we sometimes are, what is unbeknownst to us many times when we're working, are those very same sort of decisions that spawned that style. We don't know those things. Those things are almost they're inherent to the painter's intention, so, or to the artist's intention, because it doesn't have to do solely with painting. But we very rarely understand why those decisions, or again, what spawned those decisions. We can only see the final decisions. We can only judge those, and it's a shame, because with every single artist that has, eventually reached a way to portray form or to reflect nature, and has found a way that is very recognizably their own. When they've done that, there's a ton of work behind that. There's a ton of work behind that. But it is almost, again, it is foreign to us, because we very rarely understand, or we can get to know the artist's intention. So we have to sort of acknowledge that, to know that when we are enamored and we're super attracted by like superficial qualities of image making, and superficial, I mean almost in both senses. I mean it in a surface quality, sense, and I mean it in the fact that it's also not as relevant to image making. So when we see those and we are just instantly attracted by those, we have to try and understand that, it's the things that originated those decisions are far more profound. They lie within the painting. They don't lie, just on the surface. You have to dig deeper to try and understand why those decisions were made. So always be careful about sort of not interpreting the right way what style means, because it can be a very sort of treacherous trap if you're not paying attention, and if you just kind of fall into its very tempting traps, then you're going to start to convince yourself that the value of what you do lies in emulation, and that's not cool. You should, again, I always put it like in the simplest terms. We should just enjoy when other people find ways that are incredibly effective to say something. We should just enjoy those ways, and that's it. And learn what we can from them, but again, enjoy them. So that's what I'm saying with about that red. That red is going to be super important for me in this painting, this little painting, because it shapes everything. I should do that dark first. Okay, so now I grabbed another brush because I needed a really nicely saturated color, and if I grabbed the one that I was working with, chances are that it's still gonna, as much as I can wipe it, it's still gonna have some of the color, like remnants of that color in there, and that's probably gonna make it a little bit harder for me to get that saturation I wanted. So let's see. So I want to get that warm there, which is really nice. And there's, where is this? Let me see, right here. Okay, cool. I'm just kind of, okay, that's cool. I just needed that dark there for the frames of his glasses. There we go. Now I can go back to that red. Saludos desde Medellín. Muchos saludos. Gracias, Santiago. Muchas gracias. So I need to go back to that red. So this is cad red and a little bit of alizarin. And this is a round Escoda brush. I should have done that dark. I hate leaving areas like that that are supposed to be dark, because I never like leaving color against nothing. So that's going to be my cheekbone. Like I said, I'm pushing it, because if you travel down here, the actual cheekbone is over here. And I know that looks ridiculous, but it looks super cool to me. So I don't care. Una pregunta, ¿qué medio colocas en la hoja? Es una resina acrílica transparente. Aquí se consigue en Bogotá. Pues no sé dónde estés, Nico. Se consigue, la que yo consigo en Bogotá es de marca Pebeo y el producto se llama Vindex. Pero puedes usar cualquier resina transparente, cualquier resina acrílica transparente. Eso más bien, como medio acrílico transparente. So that's super cool. That's cool. Yes, save the story. I have to study. I can't watch. Yeah, I save it. But remember, it's only up there for a day. So that's good. Background changes a bit over here, up there, but I really like this red, so I'm going to push it. I'm going to use it all around his contour. So again, I want to be careful with my drawing, but when I paint that stuff inside, and I should have done this in the end, maybe. I'm thinking about it, because it's such a clean, nice color. It's probably going to get a little dirty when I put when I'm painting the rest of the stuff. But I always say, the judgments that I have to make in here would be so different if I don't have this red to judge it against. So I always convince myself that I need it. I need that color right next to whatever of interest I'm painting, because it's going to shape all my decisions. I can't, there's people that say, well, I changed the background and it works better. And I get it. I mean, I totally understand why you can do that. I mean, you can do whatever the hell you want, but the judgments I'm going to make inside his face would be so different if I didn't have this color. I mean, they would be totally different. So I can't understand how those decisions can be almost replaceable. I don't get it. So I'm gonna kind of follow his form down there. And then I can sort of fill that in, or, maybe I leave it like that. I don't know. Cool. Yeah, maybe. That's cool. So that's a really nice red. That's a really nice red, and it's like, it's very, very important for the painting. So I'm glad I established that sort of quickly. And before, these shadow masses had some warmth to them, and they felt really warm. But as soon as you put that, it's like, well, okay, there's a lot more range to that warmness. So then his hat has some, there's like a shadow mass, but it's not as dark. So I want to get to that. It's right here. Okay, that's good. And it kind of shifts a little bit because of the two sources of light. So I'm going to do that. And then the underplane of that, what do you call that? The bill? The bill of the cap? I think that's what it's called. That's not quite right. Okay, that's better. Cool. Good. Nicolás Sesin Kok Guzel Amk. Yes, yes, Trevisan. Yeah, that's what I always say. Always. I wake up and that's the first thing I say in the morning. Nicolás, ¿quién es el modelo? No, un man que viene el Transmi. Y ahí a lo Mario, le tomé fotos de una manera muy subrepticia. Okay, now it's gibberish, Trevisan. Now it's just gibberish. Say it again. No, I'm not saying it. I say it in the morning. I only say it in the morning, so forget it. And let's go to his cap up there. It's kind of like a grayish. Let's see. A lo Mario, fue a lo Mario, literal a lo Mario. Mario que nos enseña a espiar a la gente. There we go. Okay, so hi from Spain. Hola, Mary Trititasu. ¿Cómo estás? Se parece mucho a Mr. Robot. Uy, yo me vi la primera temporada de esa serie, muy chévere, pero no, después me perdieron, después no seguí. Y me vi la segunda como hasta la mitad, y ya después no seguí. No sé cómo habrá seguido. Creo que me costaría un poquito, la primera es buenísima. Nico, tienes 4 turcos en stream incluyendo, muy bien. Uf, muy bien. No sé decir absolutamente nada en turco, qué ignorancia, pero gracias, muy bien. Hi from Egypt. Oh, let's see, Asma, Mohammed. You guys, Asma or Mohammed, you have the most incredible soccer player in the world right now. So Mo Salah is just insane. He's a joy to watch. I hope he kills it in the World Cup because he is just incredible player. Sorry, that was my soccer 30 seconds. How many languages do you speak? No. Like English and Spanish, that's all. But I've always said this. I did like a really big trip in like Europe trip for like a couple of months after I had a show, and I did really well on that show, and I wanted to take a really long trip. And I had studied French, because I think the place where I stayed at the most, I think I ended up staying almost like a month, or maybe, yeah, like a month in France. So I was studying my French with these tapes. At the time, there were tapes, so yeah, don't judge me. So, and I remember just flying over there and saying, well, that was a waste of money. I didn't learn anything. But, you know, I spent probably over an hour at an art store speaking about paint with this woman. And maybe she was just humoring me, because I ended up buying so much like Old Holland paint, like hundreds and hundreds of euros worth of Old Holland paint, that maybe she was like, okay, I'm just going to nod and wave, you know. But in my mind, I probably spent hours talking to this woman in my fluent French. And I was incredible. My French was incredible. So I think secretly, you know how in your dreams, sometimes you speak another language and you speak it like super fluently? I think that, you know, something happened to me at that moment, a lucid dream, and I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm fucking speaking French fluently. And yeah, and maybe that woman just felt I was a complete idiot, and she was just seeing like, you know, a sales opportunity, and she was very kind. So that's probably what happened. So that's good in terms of the shadow mask there. I know there's something that I find it annoying, that right now I have a lot of broken up color, and my light is going to be the one that's in charge of putting all those together. But again, I'm very patient with that. So I have to understand that that's going to come like in a little bit. So I need to spend like quality time with these other areas of the painting. So how long do you need to be fluent the language? To be fluent? I don't know. The thing is, with my English, I went to like an English speaking school here in Bogota. So we had all our classes except Spanish in English in primary school. So that was a good way of assuring that you could, you know, feel comfortable speaking English. So yeah. Let's see. That's better. Cool. I'll do those reds in his jacket, like in the end. I feel that that's probably better. When I feel comfortable with what I have up here, I'll go back and do those reds, because they're still very important. So, what kind of colors are you using? Just oil paint. If you're asking about the palette, it is. Let's see again: titanium white, yellow ochre, cad red, medium, alizarin crimson, raw umber, and ultramarine blue. So cool. I need some darks here for his. I don't know what you call that. The legs of the glasses? We call them legs in Spanish. So, brand of the colors. Oh, Michael Harding. Then it's like a Louvre, you know, really cheap yellow ochre. A Rembrandt cat red, like artist grade. A Rembrandt alizarin crimson. A very cheap sort of Winton raw umber, and a very cheap ultramarine blue. So, you know, I'm cheap and expensive. I think that defines me pretty well. I'm very happy with that. Let's see. Can I go to my lights now? Maybe I can. Let me see. I don't know if I want to put them down. Maybe you teach in Bogotá. Sí, sí, enseño en Bogotá. Estoy enseñando en la Universidad Javeriana. Pero voy a enseñar solo hasta el próximo semestre. Ya avisé que ya termino el próximo semestre. Are you using any medium? Nope. Just paint. Let me see, because I want to see if I want to use my yeah, I probably will. So I'm using my bristle brush right now. It's sort of like a filbert. It was a flat, and I shaped it because I didn't like the flat. I thought it was too long and soft at the tip, so I took some scissors and I kind of shaped it again. So it's a pointy. It's somewhat of a pointy kind of pointy filbert, I would say. And the reason I'm using it is I always liked the idea of sculptural paint, and sculpture in the sense that you're modeling from shadow to light, and the shape of light is the one that gives sense to the volume, to our perception of the volume, to the three-dimensionality of form. So, this is very Baroque, and I've said it before, but they were the ones that started kind of giving more body to the lights, while shadows remained somewhat transparent. That wasn't always the case, but that's sort of the crux of like Baroque painting. Again, there's a lot of differences between the painters, because Velázquez is a Baroque painter and Rembrandt is a Baroque painter. So, and there are a lot of differences, like technically, between those two. But essentially, they sort of respected that judgment. So that's good. So I try to lay my lights. What I'm getting at is that I try to lay my paint a little more, a little thicker in my lights, so that it can convey that sense of form, of three-dimensionality. So again, that's not something I do. That's been done for like centuries. You went to university? Yeah. I'd buy that for $1. Send me $1. I'll send you. Well, I can't. No. Oh, I can't. I'm sorry. Because I need this whole book. So that I can do my editorial project, which I now decided that is going to have sort of these nice reflections on painting. So it's not going to be super academic, but I'm still going to write stuff that was relevant to. I don't know if each of the painting that was made, because that would make for a really big book, because I want to print these sort of the exact size they are, like 1:1. So it would leave me no space to put those comments if I was trying to design the pages. But there's going to be some pages where I speak about the sort of formal aspects of painting. I think it's very cool. So excellent. I'd buy it for $2,000 if I could afford it. Well, thank you. I mean, it costs $3,000, but no, I'm kidding. Let's see. So again, there's differences within the light, but there's differences within this light, but I want to be able to capture the wholeness of light first. So even though I know that there's very subtle differences in there, I have to make sure that light behaves as a whole, as a unit first. Just the unifying quality of light is one of the most beautiful things in like light. You know, when we're approaching nature to represent it, you know, if our desire is to learn from nature and then sort of translate those teachings into paint, the way that light behaves and the way that we perceive light is one of the most beautiful things that we can speak about. So, and I obviously think about that when I'm painting in terms of how it affects the way I perceive form in people. I mean, that's mostly what I've done for many, many years now. But I mean, I am totally enamored by light in like landscapes and, you know, they could be either urban or like natural settings, in still lives. But I absolutely adore the way light shapes our perception of people, so of ourselves, I mean. So that's good. To go up here, and I'm going to kind of go over some little things that I should be careful about, but I'll get to those like in a little bit. It's good. Did you use any solvent? No, I'm not using any. Somebody posted, and they sent me like a picture of like this super natural alternative for a solvent the other day. I forget what it was. It just seemed, I mean, it seemed kind of cool, but I had never heard of any of that. I mean, I'm sure there's advancements in like technology that we'll eventually find something that's not, you know, hazardous or irritant or, you know, for your health or to just have laying around in your studio. I don't know any right now, to be totally honest. But I'm sure that'll happen, you know. Human beings are incredibly ingenious. So this is Rama from Egypt. Hey, Rama from Egypt. Oh, believe that light requires less artistic sensibility to create. I believe that light requires less artistic sensibility to create sensations. Oof, I don't know how to understand that a little bit. So if you could elaborate on that, I'd be glad to like say something, but I'm not sure I understand. Could we set color layer by layer? You could. I mean, like a Chuck Close. Like if you were like a printer, you can. It's a very strange thing. A lot of people in watercolor do that. But I just don't understand how the human eye could work that way. It just seems very foreign to me. I've never been. I respect it, but I've never been attracted to a process that sort of goes against what I'm seeing at that moment. So let's say if I'm seeing a green, I want to paint that green. I don't want to paint a yellow, which kind of sets everything off in terms of color relationships. So because I know that in my mind I can glaze some blue and it'll become green afterwards. Like my mind just doesn't get it. I wouldn't be able to paint that way. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that my mind doesn't understand it. So it kind of feels the same on both sides. There's not a whole lot of difference between them. Let's see. It's probably a little bit darker. there's a cooler light there that feels really nice. Let's see if we can get that a little bit lighter too. So the other thing about using this, because this is a small portrait, so by using this slightly, it's not large, but a bristle brush is it's not as precise as a softer brush when laying down paint, especially one that, like this one that I've kind of reshaped. So it has a very almost irregular tip. And I find it really nice to use one of these so that I push myself. I have all that detail that I've kind of worked hard to get in my drawing, but if I'm trying to push myself so that I'm not very precious with it. I'm not overly precious with it. So let me see. I feel that light creates feelings strongly than colors sometimes, or maybe changes colors, like blue, for example. I don't know. I always try to be rational about light. The fact that there's a spectrum of light that's visible to us human beings, and that's the scientific part of it. We can only see. We understand what we understand as color is actually these lengths in a wave. Goes from infrared to ultraviolet. That's and those moments within that that wave is what we understand as the abstraction that is yellow and red and blue. But there's cultural significance to colors. I mean, a red is not the same to me than a culture that has been using, I don't know, earth reds coming from the mountain throughout their whole lives, and the meaning for me is just danger and stop signs and feeling sick or because they always tell you redness. If you find redness, then there's a sign of sickness. So there's a lot of cultural meaning to a color. It's never just quite the color by itself. It's never as abstract as that. But and then so I'm saying this because all the sensitive aspects of color that, for example, were super prevalent, like in the 19th century when they were doing like color theories, they actually would have an emotion correspond to a color, and it would almost be like a chart. Like they would tell you if you're trying to do a painting that speaks about sorrow or something like that. I'm making that up, but I'm making the specific thing about sorrow up. But color theories would speak about emotion, and they would tell you would have to use a specific hue to convey effectively that emotion. So it was very still, very romantic. It was the sort of strands that were left behind from Romanticism. But nowadays, I don't know. I think there isn't like a color theory per se for artists nowadays, as like it was there for centuries before. We are more expressive today than ever, I feel. We have, first of all, so much color at our disposal. We could go into a store and just find these ridiculous like colors that all these amazing painters would have never even like imagined. And we can make judgments from so many sort of sets of philosophies nowadays regarding color.